If you'd asked me when I was 9 or 10 years old, what do you want to be when you grow up? The first and easiest answer would have been, I want to be a Beatle. My music love started at a very young age, probably before I was born, because my mother was into music when she was very young, and over the years she learned to play. She's told me the story. She plays like 5 instruments: violin, viola, piccolo, flute, piano, guitar. I guess that's 6. And she told me the story how she was playing flute in high school, and one of the guys at the school that worked in the music department says, we got a piccolo back there. I can get it out and clean it up and give it to you if you'd like. And she said, sure. So she learned how to play the piccolo. Anyway, shout out to Michael and Gail at Lively Up Her Breath for the cool T-shirt. Had them on a couple of weeks ago. You can find me at TradeshowGuy.net. This is Tim Patterson, the Trade Show Guy Monday morning coffee for the last day of June 2020. Yes, technically we're halfway through the year here in about 48 hours when July starts. Downhill slide, we hope. Better things, we hope. How you doing in the COVID-19 pandemic era? I thought, this video blog is often about business, sometimes about personal stuff. I thought, I don't know that I've ever really shared about music and how much it means to me and how much it has influenced my life. We'll get to some of the albums that I've sort of been influenced by, impacted by, since I was a kid, coming up soon. But, I got to playing music in the 5th grade. I have 3 brothers, 1 older, 2 younger, and it was expected that we would pick an instrument and play. When it came time in Sisters, Oregon, elementary school or middle school, whatever you want to call it, 5th grade, you got to pick an instrument. First day of music, I went and I said, I want to try trumpet. So I tried the trumpet for like 2 days. Lips hurt, they buzzed, didn't like it, and I kind of noticed the guys back in the drum section having a little more fun. I said, can you put me back there? And so I went back there and became a drummer. A lot of fun. Played all through high school. I like to say that being in the music department saved me through high school. Probably not true. I was actually a pretty good student. But, I got to play in pep band, marching band, stage band, you name it. I played in it in high school as a drummer and had a lot of fun doing it, and own a big drum set downstairs that I don't play as much as I'd like to. But, my wife has been off work for about 3 months because of the shut down, the COVID-19. My stepson, her son, has been home from school. So, playing the drums with people around is, you're asking a lot for people to put up. So, yeah, I play guitar. I've got a guitar over there. I've got a nice acoustic one. I've got a nice electric one. I've got a bass drum, bass guitar as well. I play all of those fairly frequently. I write songs. I've written in my life. I started writing probably in my mid-20s, maybe 100 songs. And if I look back and I listen to them, because I used to record them, and some of them I've even done demos on and stuff just for fun. Some of them are okay, Won't make the hit parade, but that's okay. It's a lot of fun. Self-taught on guitar. Seriously, I picked up guitar and got a book and figured out the A chord and the D chord and the G chord. And then someone showed me a bar chord and I said, if you do the bar chord, you can move it all up and down. And it's the same thing all the way up and down the fretboard. And I went, really? So I would play along with records. That's kind of how I learned. I played along with records with my drums as well, although you have to play kind of quiet or really turn the stereo up. I wanted to be, as I mentioned, a Beatle. And I got to be 18, 19, 20 years old. I was in, high school and college and got into radio because of my love of music. I thought, well, if I can't be in a band, I could play music all the time for my career. And I did that for a long time. I was in radio for 25, 26 years and, played music a lot with bands in my 20s and 30s when I was living in Portland. A friend of mine that was a really good songwriter, still is a really good songwriter. He played with him in a number of bands for a long time. We of course never hit the big time. It doesn't happen very often. We knew a few people that did though along the way, but it was always a lot of fun. And I think I discovered early on that if you wanted to be in that industry and play music in clubs and stuff, you had to be able to put up with schlepping a lot of equipment in and out of clubs, late nights, 2, 3 in the morning, you're going home and you don't make a lot of money at it. Radio is a more consistent career. So music was a hobby, really is what it was. So I got into radio as a result of my love of music, and I married my wife. She's a a very stellar cellist. She's got a 4-year degree in performing cello. And she's very good. She's played with lots of people over the years. We met about 9 years ago and got married about 7 years ago, just over 7 years ago. So she's played with like Mickey Dolenz when he toured through the area. She was in the string section for that. Ray Charles, played with Ray Charles a long time ago when she was much younger. Jose James, great jazz singer, many, many others. So she's more in the jazz and classical music, piece of classical music come on. I say, what is that? She'll know it, of course. Oh, she likes jazz. She likes a lot of pop, and she likes a lot of that 80s hard rock too. You know, I was playing The Cure one time, or no, it was a Cult. And she came in and said, The Cult, you're playing The Cult. And I'm not a big Cult fan, but I had a Cult song, and I said, you like The Cult? She goes, yeah, Cult's great. So anyway, love of music. I like all kinds of music. I even like country music to a certain degree. Was in country radio for a couple of years. I really like the oldies, like the 60s and 70s and some of the classic 50s. We play. Music is interesting in that, my theory was that whatever you hear from about the age of 8 or 9 or 10, when you're very aware of what was going on in the world, you start to, soak that stuff in. Till about the age of 20, that music is forever imprinted on your brain. And I know that a lot of the music that I heard at that time still is my favorite to this day, and it informs how I listen to music, how I like music. There was this Facebook sort of meme thing going around here I've seen it in the last couple of years. What are the top 10 albums that really impacted you? Well, the first album I bought was at the age of 9. This came out in June of 64. I had just turned 9 years old. Beatles, A Hard Day's Night, or earlier, like a month or so earlier, I had bought the single Slow Down, backed with Matchbox, which for some reason I don't have that anymore, but this is the album I bought when I was 9. The other album that really, really impacted me was at the end of that 10 to 15 year stretch when I was 20. I was in my first job in radio in the Dalles, and we helped out this guy with a van. He'd broken down. We gave him a ride or something, and as a thank you, he said, I got an album for you. And I said, what's that? And he goes, it's Bob Marley and the Wailers. I said, I just read about them in Rolling Stone. I have no idea what it is, but the description of the music sounded really interesting. So I took this home and listened to it 3 times in a row because it was so good, and I was a reggae fan from that day on. Other albums that impacted me as a youngster, Chicago's first one, Chicago Transit Authority. We played a number of their charts in stage band in high school, probably a couple off of this, and so my music teacher there was really influenced by Chicago as well. Early Stones, of course, this is one of them. Aftermath. There's other things like Between the Buttons, Out of Our Heads. Steely Dan, when I got to be in my late teens, early 20s, big influence. They were probably my favorite band for 10 years, even maybe more so than the Beatles, because the Beatles had stopped making music, although I liked a lot of their original stuff. But I would always say Royal Scam by Steely Dan is the best of the lot, in my personal opinion. Although Asia and Gaucho are really, really good too, but I think this was kind of a breakthrough for them. So music, I think there are a lot of benefits to music, and I've known that for a long time. And I don't understand people that don't like music or don't listen to much music. I always have music going on, no matter what I've done. I first got into the exhibit world. I had a little office and I had a computer, and I just put a bunch of music on my computer. Had a little set of speakers there, so all day long I'd have music at a low volume. People came in, I'd turn it down so that they wouldn't, wouldn't blast them out. But the benefits of music. I know there are benefits. I just found a quick article. I'm going to share some of the headlines with you. Music helps your memory. True. Music makes you smarter. Music, of course, improves workouts, if you're into that. Music helps you heal. Music reduces stress and anxiety. Music improves sleep quality. I'll put a link to this article in the show notes. So music is really, I couldn't live without music. I don't know how the world could live without music. Music does a lot of things. There's so many different kinds of music, and every bit of music has, a band or an artist or someone behind it that's put a lot of effort and thought into it and practice, and it's just an astonishing form of expression is really what it comes down to, and I love it. Anyway, that's my rant about music on this week's Trade Show Guy Monday Morning Coffee, and that's this week's one good thing. music, so turn it up.